Welcome to my channel Karma Romance Stories. Please like, subscribe for more videos.
What would you do if the people who raised you chose a luxury wedding over your child's life? Imagine standing in a hospital hallway begging your own parents for help while they looked away without a single tear. They said they had no money. A few weeks later, they proudly celebrated a wedding worth $380,000. I buried every memory of that betrayal and built a new life from nothing. Years passed in silence until one rainy evening there was a knock at my front door. The faces waiting outside changed everything forever. Stay with me until the end because the final decision shocked everyone who heard this story. My name is Sarah. I never imagined that the greatest heartbreak of my life would come from my own family. I always believed parents protected their children no matter what happened. That belief disappeared forever the day my 6-year-old son was rushed to the hospital. The doctors explained that my son needed an urgent medical procedure. Without treatment, his chances of survival would continue to fall. The cost was $90,000. I had already sold my car, emptied my savings, and borrowed money from friends. I still could not reach the amount needed before the deadline. I called my parents with tears in my eyes. I begged them for help. I reminded them that this was their grandson. I promised to repay every dollar even if it took the rest of my life. They listened quietly before my father said they could not help because their finances were already committed. I believed them at first. I thanked them through my tears and hung up. I spent the next few days calling charities, banks, and strangers, hoping someone would save my son. Then I saw the photos. My younger sister was getting married in the most expensive venue in the city. There were flowers imported from another country. Luxury cars lined the entrance. Famous musicians performed all night. Every table looked like something from a movie. Guests praised my parents for creating the wedding of the decade. The estimated cost was $380,000. My hands started shaking as I looked at every picture. My parents had not been unable to help. They had simply decided that my son's life was worth less than one perfect wedding. I never called them again. Instead, I focused on my son. Kind strangers donated money after hearing our story. My coworkers organized fundraisers. My neighbors cooked meals while I stayed at the hospital. People who owed me nothing showed more love than my own family. The surgery was successful. Watching my son smile again felt like a miracle. At that moment, I promised myself that I would never allow anyone to hurt him the way my parents had hurt us. Life slowly changed. I worked 2 jobs while studying at night. I earned promotions. Eventually, I started my own business. Every dollar I made reminded me that survival was possible without the people who abandoned me. Years passed. My son grew into a kind, intelligent teenager. He knew very little about what had happened because I refused to fill his childhood with bitterness. I wanted him to learn kindness instead of revenge. Meanwhile, I occasionally heard news about my parents. The expensive wedding did not create the happy ending everyone expected. My sister's marriage collapsed under financial pressure. My parents had spent so much money trying to impress relatives that they were left drowning in debt. They sold investments. They refinanced their house. Their retirement savings disappeared. Still, I remained silent. One evening, there was a knock at my front door. When I looked through the camera, I saw my parents standing outside holding small gift bags. They looked older than I remembered. My mother was crying. My father avoided looking directly into the camera. For a moment, every painful memory returned. The hospital hallway, the unanswered phone calls, the wedding photographs, the empty promises. I opened the door only a few inches. My mother immediately apologized. She said they had made mistakes. She said family should forgive each other. She asked if they could finally meet the grandson they had ignored for years. Then my father quietly admitted the real reason they had come. They needed financial help. The debt was crushing them. Their health expenses were growing. They believed my successful business could rescue the family. I looked at both of them without anger. I simply asked one question. Where were you when a little boy needed $90,000 to stay alive? Neither of them answered. The silence lasted several seconds. Finally, my mother whispered that people change. I nodded. Yes, people do change. I had changed too. The frightened daughter who begged for love no longer existed. The woman standing before them had learned the hardest lesson possible. Some relationships cannot survive betrayal, because trust once destroyed cannot be rebuilt with apologies alone. I wished them peace. I told them I genuinely hoped they found help. Then I slowly closed the door. Not because I wanted revenge, because protecting my son and my peace mattered more than reopening old wounds. As I walked back into my home, my son asked who had been outside. I smiled and told him it was someone from the past. Then we sat together for dinner laughing about school, sports, and future dreams. For the first time, I realized something important. Real family is not always connected by blood. Real family is made of the people who stand beside you when your world is falling apart. That night, I slept peacefully knowing I had finally chosen healing over guilt. Sometimes the greatest act of courage is not forgiving immediately. Sometimes courage means protecting the life you fought so hard to build. Money can buy a luxury wedding, but it can never buy back lost trust. My parents made their choice years ago. When they returned, they discovered that every decision has consequences. Never let anyone convince you that your kindness requires sacrificing your self-respect.